New details confirmed on the shipping container explosion in the Port of Miami. What did I get wrong in my initial coverage? In my initial video on the Port of Miami explosion, I shared what I knew at the time. And that's pretty typical with the case. Early reports, not all the information is necessarily accurate. Thanks to new details, though, we now have a clearer picture of what happened. And it's even more alarming than I first thought. It turns out that the container involved was actually a 40-foot shipping container, twice the size of the 20-foot container that was originally reported. These containers are used to transport multiple vehicles. They're typically packed in there tightly for maximum efficiency. This specific container had 4 vehicles, and they were loaded in the Port of Miami to be shipped out of the US to another country. I was able to obtain the VIN numbers and get pictures from auction sites for the vehicles involved. This video is sponsored by BlazeStack Fire Investigation Software. BlazeStack is a fully featured fire investigation case management platform that arson and fire investigators rely on to log, document, and report fire investigations. Get a free trial at blazestack.com and request a quote using the discount code STASHED. Here's the breakdown. A 2014 Ford Fusion. It had a salvage title, and it was from Homosassa, Florida. Now, this vehicle was an older hybrid electric vehicle. You can see slight damage to the trunk, and it doesn't look like it would actually be able to shut. There was a 2017 Chevy Volt. It had a certificate of destruction. It was from St. Petersburg, Florida, and it looks like it took a pretty good hit to the front driver's side, mostly front end damage on this vehicle. 2018 Tesla Model X. It had a salvage title, and it was from Clearwater, Florida. It had some minor front end damage, but nothing too terrible. And then the last one, a 2021 Tesla Model S. This also had a salvage title. It was from Anna Maria, Florida, and this vehicle was clearly submerged in water. I'll come back to that. All these vehicles came from areas impacted by the recent storm surge from Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. Now, the state of Florida has been making great efforts to make sure that certificate of destructions have been issued to any electric vehicle that's damaged by flooding. But with thousands of vehicles affected, it's really easy for some of these vehicles to actually slip through the cracks. I've confirmed that it was one of the Tesla vehicles that caused this incident. And when you look at the damage from the 2021 Tesla Model S, you can see why this is likely to have caused that explosion. Looking at the photos, it's clear that this vehicle is severely flooded. Moisture and debris were inside of this car. It's very evident. And more importantly, somebody marked the water line on the side of the vehicle, and the auction house included the picture. Makes it pretty easy. It clearly shows that the high voltage battery of this vehicle was clearly submerged. There are major issues with the way flooded vehicles are processed. A certificate of destruction, for example, in one state, it can just be reissued as a salvage title in another state. And from there, with the right state transfer, it can even become a clean title. The system, it's far from perfect, especially when you're talking about transferring vehicles from state to state. And these gaps allow very dangerous vehicles like these to end up back on the road, or in this case, inside of a shipping container. A lot of people don't realize that vehicles can be shipped in shipping containers. It's actually pretty amazing they can squeeze 4 vehicles inside. The total number of vehicles depends on the size of each vehicle. And you can see how vehicles are actually packed in these containers. I guess this guy's going along for the ride. Seriously, how in the world is he getting out of there? Now, in shipping vehicles, regulations require disconnecting the battery, and the fuel tank should be almost empty, less than a quarter tank of fuel. This is also a requirement for internal combustion engine vehicles that are stored inside or dealership showrooms. But for EVs, there's no way to truly disconnect that battery because the way the batteries are integrated into the vehicle. You need to keep power to all systems to ensure the thermal management system and the battery management system stay active. That keeps the battery safe, the high voltage batteries safe. It's recommended to reduce the state of charge of those vehicles below 30%. But even that doesn't guarantee safety. It's really incredible that no one was killed. There were workers in this area near this container shortly before it exploded. The steel walls, they would have ended anybody in their path. This incident shows just how complex and risky it is to ship electric vehicles, especially if they've been flooded by saltwater. The flammable smoke released from the battery, it can accumulate inside the container, leading to catastrophic results, like we've seen in this incident. It's critical that we close those loopholes in our title system and we get some shipping regulations in place before an incident like this actually kills someone.